Hi, this is John Carroll, and this is the Family Office Project. I want to thank our sponsor, FundCount. FundCount is a multi-asset class platform that supports your family office investment, portfolio accounting and performance reporting, your partnership accounting and reporting, your financial accounting and reporting, and bill pay, all based on a multi-currency general ledger. FundCount mitigates risk in your family office by automating over 95% of all journal entries. And there's no more waiting for month-end closing to see your reports. They're available to you using Flexible Report Writer on the FundCount system as you need them. Finally, FundCount is available to you 16 hours a day for support and service after the sale. In this session, we're delighted to be joined by Asya Nagdimova, working in a single-family office and has been, I think, working at MMC for a little over 8 years. And before that, spent that 10, 12 years before that working in other family offices and in funds. She started her career after gaining a degree in accountancy with Eisner Ampner. So a longtime New Yorker, and we're delighted to have you. So welcome, Asya.
Thank you, John. Thank you for introduction. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm an executive working for Melville Management in New York for a single family office. Been here for 8 years. My prior experience is from public accounting. I started in Eisner and then being in alternative kind of a investment world, and then work for, this is my third family office. So for 2 prior family offices based in New York. And we are pretty large family office. We have 50 plus people on the professional side, plus households, trustees and advisors, and pretty large kind of operations that we're running in the family office.
And from what I know, a very sophisticated family in terms of their outlook on the world and on business, very successful business family, and investors, and diverse across geographies and age groups. So it's quite a challenge. You have a huge job working with not just this sophisticated family, but also with those sophisticated family office executives, your colleagues who are there every day working in the family office. And I believe also you have responsibilities to report to an executive board or an advisory board. So you've got a lot of stakeholders in the family office that you're responsible for, with an emphasis on working smarter and improving business process, and also using the technology that you have at work in the office.
The family office understood the complexity, and in order to scale up, you would need systems to manage those all processes, because this family office prior to me joining was more concierge services and investment kind of a base. When I joined, and I was brought in kind of in the midst of implementation of a system called SEI Archway. That's a GL system, partnership accounting, bill pay, all kind of inclusive, the system that we're dealing with now. And prior to this, I has been implemented several systems, GL systems, in my prior experiences. So I was very familiar. What does it look like? Again, the logic is the same in the systems. Is how it's operating. You probably need to set up the policy processes. And when I joined the family office was pretty large in itself, because we brought up people to bring that information to the system, number one. Number two, people who've been working for the family office for 20 plus years. So it was a pretty large family office to begin with. But there was no specific skills of each person that I was managing. And by the way, I'm managing 20 plus people in a family office. It includes the family office operations, financial and accounting, plus investment accounting people. So me coming in with the investment background, investment accounting background from the hedge fund or the private equity that I work with, and managing the investment accounting department in a prior family office, I did have a vision. What is it supposed to look like? So when I joined the system, of course, that we had SEI Archway, we had a project manager, but project manager that we had did not really understood the scope of the what's family needs, what's the family future looks like. So the systems, I don't want to get into much of the details, and I'm sure we will discuss it later on, John. The system was based on the tax basis. I'm getting a bit more technical. And when I was starting to work with the investment director, who also just came in on board, because again, it was part of the restructure process, when we were providing the reports to him, he was lost. He says, "This is not what I'm looking for. I am not interested in investment basis. I don't understand what that means, tax basis." So it took me a while to kind of shift the gears and change the whole system to be reported on a fair market value or GAAP basis. So that was a project in itself. And if you're managing 600 plus investments, and we went back all the way to inception to the information, and if you're managing 300 plus entities and 500 plus bank accounts, you could imagine what's the magnitude of volume I was dealing with.
Huge operation. Number one, just in terms of the team, size of the team, the number of entities and investments. I'm sure the transaction volume was, large, and being thrust in with during an implementation of a new system. And I think you mentioned that this system we might describe it as an all-in-one system that handles partnership accounting and investment accounting and performance reporting, bill pay, and all based on a general ledger. When you have an all-in-one system like that, it can be very complex to implement it correctly. Can you give us some specifics on how you've enhanced your use of the system?
Sure, that was a great question. Maybe just to back up a bit, prior to bringing that humongous monstrosity, right, of the Archway SEI system, that does everything in a sense. I always keep saying it to my team. We used to have Quicken, not even QuickBooks, John. So from Quicken to Archway, it's like a Rolls Royce for our family office. And this is the only system which is it's a GL system, right? Number one, it processes AP bills, like I mentioned, and it goes to GL. It's a balance sheet, it's an income statement, it's all the ownership changes in the system. And of course, at the end of the day, it's a tax basis, allocation and tracking. It's also document management. But how did we start it to begin with, right? The system was brought in just to have a simple balance sheet or income statement to be provided to the family, not in Excels, not in Quicken. So that was the primary kind of a strategy to begin with, and to be able to provide what is the net worth of each family, because it was kind of in a manual process and a Quicken, which is not a double system in itself. So that's how we started. And of course, once we started working in the GL and looking at the balance sheet, looking at this case, the income statement, and customizing our balance sheet and income statement along the way. So now I kind of keep saying it, it's also a sexy looking balance sheet and income statement, which is very detail oriented. And I have my checking account, and I have my brokerage account, and I have my direct investments, hedge funds. So it's all based on the asset class, right? So we're working very closely with the investment team how to create our reports, because that report's supposed to serve many panels, right? In a sense, it's for accounting department, it's for investment department, it's for the legal department, it's for the family, and for the trustees and advisors and the tax. So you could understand how many stakeholders I'm dealing with, right? In a sense. So once we establish kind of a GL system, we said, okay, you know what? We need to bring all the concierge, the AP bills. Many family offices, believe me, this is my third one, and I've seen different scenarios. The AP function is outsourced because it's a lot to process bills for the families. Each family has a lot of bills to process, right? And do you want to insource this or outsource? So we build up the function of AP working in Archway. So once you enter the bill will flow to the GL, it flow to the appropriate allocation. And so I don't need to bring in something like Quicken or bill pay, another system in to be working collaboratively with Archway. Let me utilize, but it took us a while to build that function as well. So the both modules will talk to each other. So that's the AP module, then the GL, then of course the allocation. And like I mentioned, the final result, the final reports that we created, that it's a template of 20, 30 reports that being submitted to the tax advisors, and they are working towards analyzing each tab and taking information that's needed for them. So that's a utilization of Archway for accounting, tax, and like I mentioned, even legal department is using it. On top of this Archway system, which I plan to have one system for all, it's a primary source. We went through kind of a analytical project and analyzed. Investment department needed their own reports and they couldn't get it from Archway. Even though Archway does have the performance allocation for each investment, even though we're tracking each direct, indirect tax lots report in the system, but investment department needs analytics, benchmark, anything analytical reports like RSM, like you need something behind more tangible that's will be suitable for the investment department and then of course report it back to the family. So at this moment we're implementing Addepar, right? So Addepar is a tool, but it will be secondary system which will be speaking. Again, Archway is the first GL. Everything will be detailed, tracked in Archway, and then the information will be uploaded to Addepar. That's some second system that we are working together in the family office. And just last year, because again, like I mentioned, we don't have a document management system. We brought in Orca, which is Orca right now is kind of for us, it's document management system. It tracks each entity's all changes in the ownership, all changes in the entity that's happened. So it's a really a big picture of each entity's history. So in the matter of 2-3 years, we brought up Addepar, Orca, and we're working right now on bringing Arch, which is to deal with all the bank statements, all investment statements, all 1099s and Caymans and so on and so forth. So we brought up quite a few systems along the way, but we started with Archway and then kind of developed what else is needed to make it life easy and of course to scale up.
Wow. So you've got your hands full with all of these excellent tools to
Yeah.
not only account but report and capture, document, and share information with your stakeholders. Maybe we can just spend a second or two on the relationship between Archway and Addepar. If I understand it correctly, Archway is your book of record
Yeah.
for all assets and liabilities and equity. And so it'd be sort of a one-way path from Archway to Addepar, or is it also the case that you might enter some data into Addepar that would find its way back to Archway? So it's sort of a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. And good question, which we're working on right now, John.
Okay.
In terms of the data, the primary source, of course, is Archway, which will be exported because they don't talk to each other, right? And we're working on right now on anything to automate that process through
Okay.
APIs if possible. So we're working with Addepar team how we can utilize export data from Archway to bring it to Addepar. That's number one. And of course, along the way, we do want to utilize what Addepar is best at
Mm-hmm.
and bring it into Archway. And in this term, again, we found a third thing that we need, like third software, like I mentioned, Arch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Arch will be in between Addepar and our SEI. So in terms of document management, it will be residing in Arch. So can I push those statements that are residing in Arch to Archway, because again, Archway is the system that will be the source for estate planning. So all document management is being stored in Archway. So any transactions is supported by anything the statements base, right? Any bill that we pay, we attaching the summary, the backup, and everything else. So can the Arch will hold those statements? Can it be pushed to both systems,
Hmm.
or at least to Archway, which is again my primary source of information in document management? It's a primary source for tax, for estate planning, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to see where we can find our benefits from both systems. Right now it's exploring, I guess right now it's implementation stage, but we're working with the Addepar team to make sure that that data can be transitioned back and forth. At this moment, we don't have anything to report back, but this is the working process at this moment.
I'd like to jump back to the all-in-one system concept, because I know you're adding systems to it. You mentioned 3 or 4, I think, that you're adding, Addepar and Orca and Arch. So
Mm-hmm.
is an all-in-one system really worth it? I mean, if you need to add on these other tools to it, does it really make sense to have that complexity all in one, or does it make sense to think about best in class approach? What's your opinion on that?
Um, this is again I mentioned like this is my third family office, right? I've seen structures, John. The first family office kind of had some systems, some Excels, and of course along the way, and we were large, like 25, 30 people, and along the way, the family kind of repositioned themselves and said, you know what, we don't need that large family office, let's outsource investments, right? So they outsource and it works for them, and of course it provides the continuity, right? You're not always worried about the people, training, hiring, retaining those people. So that's the process, kind of the outsource investment department. And all of a sudden the family office was 5, 6 people, right? Paid the bills, provide the services to the family, and the reporting side. So that was the first family office. Second family office kind of outsourced everything. So I was only receiving the reports on a monthly basis and reporting back to the family. So everything was outsourced, whether it's a bill pay, tax, accounting, private trust company, and pooled vehicle. All right. So anything, only concierge services was left behind. This family office is everything is in-house, right? And I see it's the value add to the family, like I mentioned before. But that one system that you're talking about, right? All in one system, right? ATVAP. For us, ATVAP SCI is one source in all for everybody, like I mentioned. This is what we work with for 7, 8 years, right? So it's everything, document management, accounting, legal, tax, everything is in one system. And it's a huge value add to the family. We can find any information we need with a split second, right? Like I said, I always attach any documentation and supporting documentation to each transaction. So you could imagine we didn't have a legal system, or again, document management. Everything is on the network. But go ahead and find anything on the network, right? Is depends also how people save information. I was looking at the Sumitas as well, like a document management system, right? But again, it's a system on top of a system. What makes sense for the family office? It's just like last year, like I mentioned, we brought up Addepar because investment department could not build any more macros and macros and macros. They needed a system, number one, and of course, it's also key person, right? One person leaves, what is will happen with that system? Who is going to run the system? You have to again hire, train, and retain those talents, and that's a huge challenge in today's market as well. Then, of course, once you bring out a par, it provides value to the family. They can respond to their investment driven questions with a split second, right? Rather than you go, of course, outsourcing companies, you'll get that maybe one off, maybe 100% correct question, and it takes a day or two because I've been on that side as well. It's always teams changing, people changing, so you're getting a different service, different touch. All in one works for us, all in SEI Archway, then it flows to Addepar, then it flows to Arch and Orca. So for us, of course, it's a lot of money to have all those systems, right? You have to have a budget for that. And again, what's your goal, end goal? Does the family will serve continuing family members, right, with the same kind of approach to provide all in one and provide all services to the family.
And so maybe let's take that experience and apply it to the question that a CFO in a family office of reasonable size, right, who has a budget, let's say, but is currently sort of caught in Excel, what we might call Excel hell, right? They're using QuickBooks and Excel to do their accounting and investment performance reporting and other types of reporting, and are really thinking about a new system. What advice would you offer to this CFO who's considering new tech in their family office?
Break the system. The system is the 21st century. You cannot survive without a system. I've been working in the models, 40 plus models that you run and set up on an overnight basis. It doesn't work. It's always good to have a system, technology in place, especially in today's world, and to scale to provide the services for the future generations. Like we're in G5 right now, the person who's been here, okay, we have a few people who's been here for 20 plus years, right? There is so much knowledge that you cannot transfer. But if it's in the system, anybody can access, anybody can read and kind of replicate the history behind, right? Again, we're getting to estate planning sooner or later. Nobody knows that much of information, and we are 30 plus, maybe 40 plus years family office. Again, not official family office, but it was 40 plus years of information. Nobody remembers this. So bring the system so anybody can touch on that information and can kind of run with this information. Yes, it is expensive. Maybe start with one module, right? Whatever it is, bill pay, right? If it's too much for you, bill pay, and you're saying, okay, I'm gonna bring the person paying him whatever is the market right value right now, the market value of the person. Maybe it's better to utilize the system for the value of that person, right? Again, continuity is a big factor. Also hiring people, like the people doesn't work, maybe it's you got to let go, then you got to bring another person, then you got to train the person. So all those factors make sense. And how many, I don't want to kind of say that, but how many people's jobs the system replaces. But the most important factor is continuity. If tomorrow somebody leaves, that information is there and nobody can take this with them. So to me, I think I believe in technology, and that's why I'm always like exploring, reading, educating myself, all those conferences, family office conferences on the technology side. It's always, and I see it's a big, big trend right now in the family office to replace all Excels and all that knowledge the people have into the systems. So go with the system, start slow, bring the consultants who will kind of understand your RFP, right? I mean, understand what you need. But the system is a must to me, especially GL system, paying bills, allocation, financials, and so on and so forth. That's the backbone. Then you can build up just like we are.
Great answer. Thank you for that, and appreciate your opinions. So now look. Here's the last question. I try to get everybody's opinion that I talk to you about this. That it's kind of a two-parter. First part is: have you seen artificial intelligence impact your current family office business process or tech or anything like that? And then the second part is: what do you see or what do you think may be the impact of artificial intelligence on on the family office as we know it today?
It's kind of in the different categories, different things that we see in AI, right? We want to bring as much as automation as possible, like I mentioned, with
Mm-hmm.
systems, right? Building anything the bridge, right between the systems. That's one. Are we allowed to use chat gpt? Maybe yes, maybe not, right? So that's also
Mm-hmm.
improving the processes when you're drafting your self-evaluation, when you it's like it's a tool, right? How would you want to kind of position yourself, how you want to rephrase it, for different matters. So chat gpt is being used in the family office very kind of discreetly, right? You cannot put any personal or family office information in the chat gpt. In terms of AI, right, on the cash flow right now, cash management, right, department, which
Mm-hmm.
I am very closely monitoring the cash. There is so many processes that changing with the banks, right? AI driven in a sense. All the kind of a voice recognition or text recognition moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very thoughtful and very careful how we reposition, and constantly it's a constant change. You got to pivot yourself to what's going on in the market today, right? AI is a huge impact to the businesses like us. We want to be careful. And in terms of like cash management, we do not process anything online, right? We are very manual in that process. It's a phone call confirmation each wire. So we want to make sure that voice recognition is there with the person who is approving the wire. Text
Okay.
messages are being, if you receive the text message, which is very sophisticated nowadays, right? We want to make sure we follow up with the family member, says, did you approve that transaction? Is this coming from you
Mm-hmm.
actually? So we pick up the phone and speak with the family, and then we touch base with the bank institution that we're processing wires personally, like picking up the phone and approving each wire details and information. So AI is going at a huge pace, right? We can't really run, which I love. Technology is technology, but you want to also make sure you have your kind of roadblocks put in place. So wherever,
To protect the family,
yes, yes,
right? To protect the family.
number one is
Yeah,
to protect the family and protect ourselves as well.
that's right. That's right. Well, Asya, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I really appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for having me. It's an interesting discussion which we hear, right? I mean, it's so many family offices, conferences. Everyone is talking about the operations and behind the scenes. So it's like people say, if you've seen one family office, that's only you have seen one family office. Everyone is different.
Yeah, that's true. So true. And again, thank you. Asia's details, contact details will be in the description. So I'm speaking for you, but I
Sure,
assume that it's okay if people reach
sure.
out to you and
Which we do usually.
if they have questions. And again, thank you so much, Asya,
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
time today. Really appreciate it. Look, we know how busy you are. You told us, so really appreciate you sharing your time with us. Look, this is John Carroll for the Family Office Project saying thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.